You ever see someone so smug, so sure of their power, you just want to see the universe take them down a peg? That was Karen Williams, our HOA president from hell. And let me tell you, I watched her go from queen bee to cautionary tale in the time it takes to microwave popcorn. And the wildest part, it all started with a 74-year-old man, a battered blue fishing boat, and one power-drunk woman who thought she owned our entire lake, literally and figuratively. Let me back up a sec, because if you've ever dealt with a nightmare HOA, you're about to feel some deep, deep satisfaction. Every Sunday, I'd pull up to my Grandpa Sam's place at Lakeside Serenity. Yeah, the kind of name that makes you think peaceful retirement, not suburban dictatorship. But looks are deceiving, you know what I mean? The lawns are perfect. Houses could be out of a Pottery Barn ad. And yet under all that, folks are walking on eggshells, glancing over their shoulders every time they step outside, terrified their mailbox flowers aren't HOA approved. All that fear. It traces back to Karen and her stupid clipboard. She's fined people for faded fences, for garden gnomes, for parking 2 inches over an invisible line. $15,000 in fines just this year for stuff that wouldn't bother a soul. My grandpa's no troublemaker, retired mechanic, loves fishing, still sharp as ever, but he's lonely since Grandma passed. His pride and joy is this little boat called the Lucky Catch. To anyone else, it's a faded blue hunk with more character than style, but to him it's sacred. My grandma named it. They spent years on that lake fishing for bluegill and memories, and when Grandpa talks about her, sometimes I swear I can see her smile in his eyes. So when Karen came strutting across the yard, clipboard tight as a weapon and a smile that could curdle milk, I knew nothing good was about to happen. She starts in with her usual community concern spiel, looking at the Lucky Catch like it's a rusted-out car up on blocks. Aesthetic guidelines, property values, all the usual HOA song and dance. Then she sees me and switches to a tone like she's talking to a lost kid at Walmart. I keep my voice calm, but inside I'm seething. Ma'am, that boat's well-maintained, and it means the world to my grandpa. She sniffs and starts rattling off rules section, this subsection, that blah, blah, blah. A neighbor named Dave starts filming because, hey, Karen's never met a confrontation. She didn't want to escalate. 2 days later, boom, $500 fine in the mailbox. But here's where the universe throws its first curveball. I'm a land surveyor. I know how to read the fine print, and buried on page 32 of the HOA bylaws is a clause Karen probably hoped no one would ever notice. Every cent collected in fines, it has to be spent on a resident-approved community improvement project. You get 7 signatures, and the board has to put it to a vote. So yeah, I pay the fine. Then I walk the neighborhood collecting signatures from every neighbor Karen's ever wronged. Mrs. Wilson fined for yellow marigolds, the Patels hit for a basketball hoop, the Hendersons for a parking violation. All of them are more than happy to sign on to a proposal for a memorial plaque honoring Sam and Eleanor, my grandparents, right at the boat dock. Thursday night rolls around and Karen's expecting a cakewalk. Instead, she reads my proposal in front of a packed house. Her face goes from pink to purple as she realizes she's about to spend her precious fines memorializing the man she tried to humiliate. The room sides with me, 9-2 in favor. Karen abstains, of course. 2 weeks later, we're dedicating a bronze plaque on the dock. Neighbors are hugging Grandpa's crying, and Karen's watching from her window like she just got hit by a truck full of karma. Dave posts the video, and within days it's gone viral. 15,000 views, then 50, then 200,000. You'd think Karen would back off, right? Nope. She spends 2 weeks plotting revenge and calls an emergency HOA meeting. She's got a slideshow insurance assessments and a brand new rule: no watercraft over 10 years old can stay at the dock. The only boat that rule applies to Grandpa's. I try to fight it, but the board, stacked with Karen's buddies, votes it in 6-1. The next morning, a tow truck hauls away the Lucky Catch. My grandpa stands there in his robe, watching the last thing connecting him to my grandma get carted off. Karen, arms folded, grinning like she's just won the Super Bowl. That should have been the end. But that night, I'm pacing in Grandpa's garage and knock over an old box of property papers. I find a manila envelope labeled Property Papers 1962. Inside proof that my family owns the lake. The whole thing. Recorded, notarized, signed, sealed, and legal as it gets. Karen's been charging $80 a month to 65 families for 8 years for lake access to a lake that never belonged to the HOA. That's over $50,000. She's been a petty dictator on land she never had any right to. My buddy Jake, who's a lawyer, checks it all out authentic. Suddenly, I'm sitting on the nuclear codes of HOA drama. We call a community meeting. Dave live streams it. The room is packed, and as I lay out the paperwork, the whole place goes nuts. You've been paying Karen to use my family's lake for 8 years. People are furious, demanding refunds. I produce receipts. Karen spent $12,000 of those lake maintenance funds on landscaping her own yard. The crowd is ready to riot. Jake stands up cool as ice and says, "We're prepared to file criminal charges for theft and fraud unless all fees are refunded and the boat is returned." Karen loses it, yells, pleads, tries to shut me down. But even her board members are abandoning ship. She storms out, but by the next morning it's too late. Local news, then national, then international. Dave's video racks up 47 million views. Karen's hiding behind her curtains, the phone ringing off the hook, the whole country laughing at her downfall. And my grandpa, he gets the lucky catch back, hand-delivered by Karen herself, forced to apologize in front of half the town and a sea of phone cameras. The boat goes back in the water, Grandpa grins like a kid, and neighbors throw a party right there on the dock. But here's the kicker, the happy ending nobody saw coming. At the next HOA meeting, I propose something wild. We deed the lake to the community for good. No more fees, no more dictators, just neighbors sharing something beautiful. The vote's unanimous. We rename it Eleanor's Lake in honor of my grandma, and for the first time in years, Lakeside Serenity actually lives up to its name. Karen moves out a month later, unable to show her face. So yeah, sometimes the bully wins a few rounds. But if you dig deep, stand together, and know you're right, sometimes you get to write the ending yourself. I still see Grandpa and the lucky catch out there every evening, 2 old souls who finally got the peace they deserve. And Karen last. I heard she's the cautionary tale every new HOA president reads on their first day. Now I've got to ask, what's the wildest thing your HOA's ever tried to pull on you? Drop your stories in the comments. Who knows, maybe your drama will be the next viral HOA takedown.